My last video, I talked about the kind of pitfalls that you have to watch out for being in the insurance industry. It could go for PNC, it could go for... We talked about the technology part, and I want to go more in depth on that to show you what you should have and what are some of the tools that you need to have as an insurance agent. Now, I actually run a PNC agency, and that's where a lot of my knowledge, 12, 13 years in the industry, and just kind of techy, really just a high excitement for the technology to essentially AI and getting things to do the work for you. Really, I'm lazy, I guess you could say. So if you're like that and you want to find out what exactly we're talking about, let's just dive in. Real quick background, like I said, I've been in the industry for X amount of years. If you've seen some of the kind of boring videos on this channel, it's about me building some of the technology I'm actually putting together through Chat, GPT, through Gemini, through all of the AI softwares, and essentially building, designing kind of landing pages and websites for PNC agents, and then also the email campaigns. So we're going with themes and essentially building a platform that I know works because I've been doing it for this long and I know that part of it, but then mixing it with what AI thinks would work and really just meshing the knowledge. And that's really the point of AI, is to help the person that kind of understands their role or their industry, that can tweak it and ask the right questions to get the perfect answers. I'm putting that all together in a package for you guys so you'll have access to actually use that software live for your agency. At the time of the video, it's not live yet, but I will put a link in the description below if you want to pre-register, probably a launch or a live webinar for it so that you guys can play with it and look at it and give some feedback. With all that being said, be careful because you don't want to fall in the tech trap. That's really the first point that I wanted to make, is there's a lot of different software. We have probably 15 that I've personally used. Some were good, some were great, some had some glitches, and all of them had some problem. Eventually, that's what led me to use the software and the platform that I use today that allowed me to build my own so I can really put it the way that it should be. The problem I usually ran into was either images didn't come through, text had to be on one phone number, which was super annoying to me. There's truncated and all of these like terms that they use and ways that the phone can be split up into different pieces. But at the end of the process, you want to have individual agents have their own identity, so it's not that corporate style. If that's the way you're going, then go ahead. You can just use one phone number and all that, and you can be the corporate. But we went with more of a local agency. So the main thing that you need is some sort of automation. And we don't need AI yet. At least it's not really valuable until we've fed it the right details. So where AI will overpower the automation is it will allow us to load profiles and load PDFs and load data into kind of a hidden or a locked bank that AI can pull from. So the software I'm actually using does that, and it's something I'm going to be working on in the future. But right now, I don't need that because I already know what my customers want and what they're potentially going to say. So if I get a lead coming in, let's just say I made a piece of content, lead showed interest, they went online, filled out a quote, my automation is going to text them. And it essentially asks them if they're interested in talking. Because we know as agents that talking is 90% of the battle, where if we go online and there's no rapport, there's no relationship built, that customer isn't really a long-term or a loyal customer unless they really need you and you're there to help them. We want to be able to help them before they need help so that you're available, so they're not just bothered by you being your agent. Now, don't get me wrong, there is a market outside of that. If you don't want that heavy touch and that long relationship, you're just going to have more customers coming in because the churn is going to be a lot higher than an agency that has built that rapport. So knowing what automations are supposed to be said when, and if they're positive feedback, negative return on the text, and whatever the case is, we know which direction to take that person. Having a workflow that can do that all for you is very important in different tasks. Sending happy birthdays to people, sending special events, things like that, having essentially bulk campaigns that you can create, that's very helpful in any agency. Most importantly, you need a way to market. Now, I like the all-in-one because I don't want to learn 7 different softwares. You can have one for email, you can have a phone for texting, Google, whatever, for ads. You can run them on YouTube, and then you could have like a landing page for another one. You can have a WordPress for your website. You can do all of those pieces, and yeah, the cost starts to play a factor. $50 here, $200 here, $80 here, $20 here. At one point, you're going to spend over $1,000 a month, which will happen as time goes as you grow your agency. An appointment booking bot is very important. So when you are working face-to-face, initially you'll actually lean on that more than anything. I personally feel like it's powerful when you automate it and then you get someone to book an appointment. Now you know who to work with, who's to quote first, what focus is. If you have a ton of leads coming in, even more than you can handle, then you start weeding them out by getting people to do appointments. The ones that do appointments that are serious and have the time to talk to you, that are willing to take that advice, and that's the type of client that I'm personally looking for. So now I can book them into an appointment to where I'm just showing up to the appointment, pre-typing the quote, getting everything ready for them ahead of time. Automatic follow-up is a major piece that you have to have in your agency. I have been selling insurance for 13 years. I mess up all the time. I actually get nervous sometimes and I'm like, it's been 2 weeks. I don't want to text that person. Let's just let it go. We'll mark them as lost. We'll move on. And before you know it, I had already put them in my pipeline and my pipeline texted them for me and they said, yes, I'm still interested. Let's move forward. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so amazing. This technology just got me a sale. When you can do that with your technology, that's when you know it's working correctly because it's bringing the business back to you or converting the business with you so that you can move forward with those type of prospects. Once everything's said and done, automating a way to say welcome to our agency, a quick thank you letter, a quick email, maybe putting their deck pages together. Sometimes it's manual. That doesn't have to be automated, but it does help if you have essentially templated stuff that you can just paste it right there and just go from it. Our software actually allows you to create templates. So I can just click the welcome template. I can add the policy numbers, attach the files, and then just send it off to the person. On top of that, getting a Google review is very powerful because insurance agents need to understand that the world of online isn't just video. Don't get me wrong, 99% of everything I do is video focused, but understanding that when people are searching online, they're going to Google and they're trying to find insurance near me, best insurance in this city. If you're not marketing and writing articles and creating some sort of content for your local area, you're going to miss out on a good amount of business. What adds to that is getting Google reviews because really only Google is being used 95%, I don't know, 70%, whatever the number is, a large percent of the time, Google is the search engine of choice. When people are doing that, Google reviews pop up first, and if that's the first thing they see and they see these 4.8 to 5-star reviews on your agency, that's where it's at. I actually just had a guy walk into our agency the other day who found us on Google, loved the reviews, and just showed up. It was pretty cool to see him. We were able to sit down and do a quote and work all of that out. That's the part of power of having that local presence. It's just not going to get you that large volume, right? It's not that massive scalability unless you really focus and market to it, which is possible. And that's where getting that advice is going to be helpful if you're new to that. We'll work with you and I'll make some videos that kind of show you what I've done in the past that can help. That leads into the last point I wanted to go over is understanding the difference between branding and marketing. Marketing is really what most and everybody should be focused on, in my opinion, is just getting out there, getting the sales. It's okay to have a target market, right? You need that. If I'm focused on teenagers or I'm focused on 50-year-olds like everyone under the sun is with a house and 2 cars and wife and 2, whatever the case is, right? The perfect client. Then I'm focused on that person. I can brand and market to them. Those are 2 different things. And I can focus on them. I'm going to find all around them as well as I start to find that target market. Branding is attracting people to your brand based off of you being local, your presence, they connect with who you are as a company and your values and all of those pieces. Those are super powerful, but if you're new to insurance, it's very difficult to get enough money to survive when you're not marketing and you're just focused on branding. Although both are important, it's good to have a healthy mix. In my personal opinion, I would say 20% branding, 80% marketing, and getting new clients. It's not necessarily spending money. Yes, you can buy leads. Yes, you can do YouTube videos. And yes, I'll show you how to do all that eventually. Give me time. I got to make the videos. And doing all those pieces. And yes, there is automation that companies and people like me are building that will help you grow further. And those are great. But for the new person, just going to friends and family to start and then joining a BNI group or joining a networking group or joining the Chamber of Commerce and just networking, you can build an individual business just off of word of mouth. That is powerful. It's going to be a little bit more of a struggle and you'll go a little bit slower. But if you don't have money to invest, then that's just the route you need to go. It's going to be branding yourself. You're really going to be the brand versus the brand being built and creating the persona. I'm not going to go too heavy into that because that's a totally different video. And I'll be honest with you, I'm just not a huge fan of branding. I think, honestly, once you're big enough and you can pay someone to do it, there you go. If you are interested in learning more, I've got a video here that will be super helpful. Otherwise, I'm Mark W. Flockhart. I'll see you soon.